We'll get started. We're now joined by our 2014 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series champion, driving the number 36 Whelen Engineering Chevrolet this weekend for Marsh Motorsports from Belgium, Anthony Kumpen. Anthony, first experience at an oval over a mile. Talk about practice yesterday and your qualifying run.
Yeah, it's all pretty new for me, In Europe, we do a lot of road course racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. We have 4 oval races, but the only ovals we have so far in Europe are half-mile ovals. So coming here is a big step for me. First time on a mile oval. It's a great experience. It's a steep learning curve. I have to learn a lot, for sure on the road courses. When I work with my engineer, and in a few words, we know what we have to do, and we get the car better. And now here, with my lack of experience, it's a lot more difficult. But I'm enjoying myself. We had a good amount of laps yesterday, and the goal is to gain experience. So I try to finish the race, try to get a decent result, but it will be difficult to be in the front pack because with the lack of experience we have. But it's great fun, and I'm really happy to be here.
And you are scheduled to make your NASCAR Xfinity Series debut at Iowa later this year. Can you just talk about the program that's in place in the Euro Series, winning the championship, and having the opportunity to run up the NASCAR ladder in the United States?
Yeah, it's great. In the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, we set up, or the organization set up a program next year, Road to Daytona. It's a program sponsored by Next Year, and so as the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series champion, we get some support from the championship and from NASCAR to come over here and experience NASCAR racing over here. So our goal is for this year to do 3 more Xfinity races after this weekend, and then we want to be in the Xfinity race next year at Daytona in February. So it's a great program. It's a great support that we have from the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series and from Next Year, and for me it's a great opportunity in my career.
We'll go to Mike, and then
Anthony, just a follow-up about that. You said next year the goal is to get back to the Xfinity Series race at Daytona. Is that something that will require you to win this year's championship, or is that already in the mix or in the budget for you to come here?
No, so the budget ends by the end of the season, so I'll have to do my best to win the next year's season. The organization from the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series is really open, and they're really helpful, and they're also helping us to find sponsors. So it's a great opportunity that we get, and NASCAR is growing big time in Europe. I think we are the fastest growing racing series in Europe, and the attention is getting there. We get a lot of TV coverage. We have huge crowds at the races. So I'm quite confident we can make it all together to come to Daytona.
Have there been many F1 drivers that kind of come sniffing around to see what it's all about?
Yeah, we have some F1 drivers trying it out. We had, for example, Max Papis doing some racing last year with us. And we have a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest coming because F1 is becoming really difficult. There's less cars in the championship, and there's more good drivers that start knocking on the door, and then we have now the opportunity in Europe to become NASCAR drivers. It didn't exist a while ago. So with the new NASCAR Whelen Euro Series championship, I'm sure there will be a lot of good drivers in the championship in the future.
And just one more, if I may, about obviously, it was an eye-opening experience the first time you got here on this oval. What gains have you made from that moment to now, as you get ready for qualifying the race?
Yeah, from the first practice session on up until qualifying, we improved by about 1.5 seconds. So I'm sure if I can get some more driving time in the car, I will step up my game. It's important, to make a lot of laps. For sure, 1 mile oval is something completely new to me. So and then taking it step by step. I don't want to rush things. We have a nice program set up. And we have to gain the experience in order to get faster.
Anthony, how do you feel about getting used to the physicality? You may have more contact in this race than perhaps in I'm guessing, than in road racing or anything else you've done. What your thoughts on that?
You know, it's good because it makes the race more spectacular, and that's what the racing fans want. And we also have it in Europe now in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. There's quite some contact, and but you know, we have to do everything to keep the fans happy. If you look at F1, it is becoming pretty boring, and there's always the same cars winning. And then I think that there's some contact makes it more spectacular, and that's what the fans want. And if the fans want it, they make us be here. So,
how hard was that for you to get used to? I'm assuming that with a road race background, it's probably you came with open wheels, go-karts, things like that, where you can't make that kind of contact. So how did you get used to it, or are you still getting used to it?
yeah, I'm still getting used to it because you can make contact, but you don't want to throw yourself out of the race. So so it's pretty difficult. It's not so easy, and but I'm learning everything about NASCAR, also the contact in the racing, and I must say here it's a bit tougher still than with us, because in our championship there's little guys who have a lot of NASCAR experience. So but it's good fun. I'm enjoying myself.
So they told you Robin is racing.
Exactly, Robin is racing, exactly.
Anthony, just to follow up on Mike and Mark's question a little bit, you know, this is your first race on a track longer than a mile, and technically a super speedway, but drivers refer to this as a big road course, kind of the way you got to manage your brakes in the corner speed. Did you find that as you were picking up speed yesterday? You said you picked up about a second. Was it managing the entry speeds and treating it more like a road course, each corner, the way you were dissecting the track?
The biggest difference with a road course is that we brake a lot harder. We brake as late as possible, a lot harder, and then we try to smash the throttle. And here you have to carry a lot more speed at the entry of the corner. So the biggest change for me was yesterday when I stepped into the car and I did my first laps and I saw the other cars passing me like I was standing still, was the entry speed of the corner. So so I had to step up my game for that. A bit of trail braking. And then rolling into the corner and keeping the speed, and then it's quite different from what we do on the road courses, because on the road courses it's really slamming the brakes at the last moment and then slamming the throttle. So so you have to be a lot more aggressive on the road courses where we run.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Anthony, I was wondering, how do you go from winning European Championship to being at New Hampshire Motor Speedway? I mean, how did that path, how did all the parts come together to put you here?
Yeah, well, I won the championship last year, and then obviously when you win the championship with the Next Year Road to Daytona program, you get a budget to come racing over here. And then, but still, after winning the championship last year, I didn't know how big NASCAR was. The only way I discovered NASCAR was from TV. And then when we came to the banquet in Charlotte, okay, we talked to so many people. I saw so many things about NASCAR, and I was really excited for the program. And I've been discussing with Jerome Galpin, who is the CEO of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and with Joe Bellish to extend our program as far as possible, because the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series is growing, and if we want to grow it and if we want to make the championship more popular, we also need European drivers coming over here and increase the popularity of NASCAR in Europe. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work all together to increase the popularity of NASCAR, and it's fantastic to be a part of it. And then I try to make the program as complete as possible. Obviously, I still want to do the European Championship, so we did some racing in Florida in the beginning of the season. Now we have our summer break in Europe, so we're doing 2 races here in the summer. And then at the end of the season, after we finish our championship, I come back. So it's fantastic to have this opportunity, and I want to thank the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for this chance I get.
And Anthony made his debut at New Smyrna Speedway. Anthony, real quick, speaking of Florida, can you talk a little bit about your connection both with Jeff Gordon, and you talked at Daytona, and then your crew member on your team who's now interning at Hendrick Motorsports?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, Jeff's wife, she's from Belgium. She's from the town where I grew up and where I still live. So we know each other for a long time. And then I met Jeff a few years ago. So when he was visiting Belgium, we went on holiday in France together. So I was always envying that he could drive NASCAR, and we as a European, we had Formula One, which is not so nice. So I met him a few times. I'm gonna see him tomorrow. We go for lunch together. My wife and his wife are good friends, and his nephew is actually one of the engineers in my team, and because he's engineering in my team, and we have the summer break, so he has some time off, and we send him, or we asked if he could intern with Hendrik, and I hope he will learn a lot so we get all the details and that we can improve on our European Championship for the next racing. So he's here. I saw him today. He's interning for 2 months, and then he comes back to work in my team.
And we'll finish up with Mike.
So I guess a quick follow-up to that, Anthony. I mean, you haven't had a chance to huddle up with Jeff today to try and get some pointers at all?
No, I will see him later on. I saw Matisse, so his nephew, who is working for me. They have the free practice now, and I'm going to see him after free practice to get some last-minute tips before my race tonight. So I think you cannot have anybody better to give you tips to step into a race like this one.
All right. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks again, my friend.